Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the most toxic video game fan bases on a tier list. So going in the S tier means they're more toxic and F tier is good, you want to be less toxic. So I became a video game creator on YouTube about a year ago. I used to do fitness content and different styles of content, but I've noticed that gamers are big haters, and this doesn't stand for everyone. There is a lot of really awesome people in the gaming community, but since making video game content, I've been getting weird messages that are extremely hateful. I've been called a number of slurs that are not even like anything that I'm related to. So I just wanted to talk about this because I've been playing video games my whole life, and I've seen some fan bases be extremely toxic. Some are a little bit less toxic, but I'm going to share my experiences and what I've seen around the whole gaming industries here. So I have a bunch of different varieties of games, and I'll be talking about them. So the first one we have here is Grand Theft Auto. I played a little bit of Grand Theft Auto online, but it was actually really frustrating because for some reason, I've seen a lot of people talk about this, but in Grand Theft Auto, they always go after newbies and they'll hunt you down across the map just to kill you. And I couldn't get into it because of that. So I believe it is a little bit better now. Someone may be able to chime in the comments with their thoughts on this, but I'm going to put it in probably the B tier because it was not a very, friendly community in the game, because my attempts at playing it, I was just getting harassed by people, and it seems like a lot of other people have been in the past. So I'm going to put it in the B tier because I heard that it got a little bit better, but it's still Grand Theft Auto is interesting because there's a lot of people that will role play as like a police officer, and it has a really heavy role play community. And I find that when people take a game that seriously, they get kind of toxic over, because some people make it their entire life. So don't be one of those people. Next, we got Fortnite. Now, this is a funny one because I think that the biggest haters on Fortnite are all children, and children are just extremely rude for no reason. I don't take it personally. Anytime I get hate regarding Fortnite, I usually just assume the person's 12 years old and is still losing their teeth. So it's an interesting one because I don't take it personally, but there are some people that have found my Instagram and sent me really mean messages over Fortnite, and I'm just like, chill, it's a friggin' video game. Like, for someone to reach out to you on social media because you played against them and took them out in a game and they're calling you a cheater and all this stuff, ridiculous. But I would say this is probably like, Fortnite's a fun game. I like Fortnite. It's goofy, and I always have a fun time playing it, but sometimes the comments that you get from the fan base is a little bit annoying. I might say it's like a B tier, maybe A tier. I'll put it in the B tier. It's, I guess, of all the games, I feel like the people that are the haters are the children that play it, and the more adult people wouldn't be, wasting their time and day doing things like that. So, yeah, I'd probably put a B tier. Could go A tier. Maybe we'll put it in the A tier. Yeah. Next, we got Elden Ring, and I'm just going to count all Souls games in particular. Now, primarily my content is mostly around Elden Ring lately and Baldur's Gate 3, so I'm taking that into consideration that I would get a lot more hate because of this, because I make mostly my videos regarding that. So for percentage base, the thing is with Souls games is there's some very pretentious people that play them and think, hey, you can't do this if you level your character up. You didn't beat the game if you used your mimic. Like, there's a lot of elitist mentality in this game. The fan base as a whole is very supportive because there's players like Let Me Solo Her who will help you out if you're stuck on a certain boss. So there are some very high highs of really great people in the Souls community. I think it's one of the best fan bases in general, but I can't ignore the fact that it is quite toxic at times. And I've gotten people, when I say people call me slurs, it's because of Souls games. And I don't know why people get so mad if you use a mimic tier and show someone how to beat a boss, but I get a lot of hate over that for whatever reason, and I really just create content to try and help others. I'm a busy person myself, and I want to help others that are busy, because people have children. People can't spend all day playing video games, but the reason I make the content that I do is to help people so that they can progress through the game if they're getting stuck on something. And I do it with good intentions. I don't do it because I'm like, like I need to show off that I use the mimic tier, but for some reason, there's some extremely, extremely mean people. I've had to block multiple people because there's some people that'll find my social media and DM me some extremely mean messages that, like, I don't take offense to, because I know the people that send those messages are having a hard time themselves. But the fact that some people will go as far as do that is crazy to me. Again, I am taking into consideration the fact that I probably receive more of those messages because I do create content around it. So that is taken into consideration. I would probably put it in the A tier. I do want to mention that it is also an extremely supportive community. These Souls games in particular are growing in popularity really fast because Elden Ring's very popular. We have streamers like Kai Cenat who are playing them and bringing new fans into the fan base. And I think some of the older heads that have been playing Souls games since the very beginning are maybe a little aggressive towards the new players, and I just been seeing it a lot lately. As I said, like more people becoming fans of the games, and I've seen a lot of Reddit comments where people are having that elitist mentality. I could talk about this for hours, so I'm just going to leave it at that. It does have some toxicity to it, but as a whole, I would say the community is a good, supportive community, but I can't ignore the fact that there is a lot of people that have that elitist, you can't use the Mimic tier, you didn't beat Elden Ring. Like, I see comments like that all the time. And some of the people are just like, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups too regarding Elden Ring, and you see some people get wrecked when they're being like a dick to other people. But yeah, for some reason, this one in particular, Souls games, I think because it's mostly focused on being a difficult game, and people think anytime you use something that's in the game to make it easier, that you think you're a cheater. Like, the Mimic tier is not cheating. Miyazaki himself uses it. Again, I could rant about this all day. I'm not going to continue. Next, we got Destiny 2. Now, this is kind of funny. I did hear a lot of people say that it's been a toxic community. I've experienced the opposite myself, but Destiny's in a weird phase right now where it's kind of like trending into the twilight hours of its gaming, with the potential Destiny 3 coming out in the future. I would say Destiny 2, probably B tier, kind of similar to Grand Theft Auto, where people like hassle you if you're a new player and you're not using a meta build. I've heard in PvP that's really bad, but for the most part, I feel like Destiny is kind of losing probably more of their more toxic players to other games. So I would say it's probably a B tier. Next, we got ourselves World of Warcraft. Now, this is an interesting one because World of Warcraft's been around for a very long time. I played this game like 10 or 15, geez, time's flying, a long time ago. I found that the World of Warcraft community, honestly, pretty good. Someone can chime in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but I think that World of Warcraft, from what I've experienced and what I've seen people say online, is pretty supportive. So for that, I'm actually going to put it into the F tier. They're not a very toxic fan base. I could be wrong again. I don't know at the higher level of World of Warcraft, because I know there's a lot of people that put many hours into this game. So typically with games, like, I could be C tier. I really haven't experienced it myself, and I haven't seen a lot of people complain about the fan base of World of Warcraft, so I'm going to put it in the F tier. But I'm sure as you get higher up into the better players that there is some level of toxicity if you're not using the perfectly meta build, but for me, I think it's not that bad. So yeah, chime in the comments if I'm wrong. Next, we got Halo. Now, Halo is an interesting one. It's kind of like Call of Duty. I would say that it does have a pretty decent number of toxic players, but Halo is also like Destiny, where it's kind of dying off in terms of popularity. People are playing other games, so I would say it's probably around the B tier, because I do know that it did have a toxic fan base for a while, but as a whole, it's probably not as bad, so I might put it even in the C tier. I feel like now where Halo's at, people just want other people to play with, so they're not going to be as toxic as during the glory days of Halo when it was very popular. I know that it was an extremely, I wouldn't say extremely toxic, but it was quite a toxic fan base. But overall, in 2024, I don't think it's that bad, so I want to put it in the C tier. Next is another game that is near and dear to me, Baldur's Gate 3. So Elden Ring, Souls games, they have that elitist mentality. D&D, oddly enough, I hate to say it, has that too. Again, this may come down to me just being a creator that's mostly focused on Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate, but this is another game where people have called me really mean names. I actually woke up today with 5 messages or 5 comments that I had to delete because people were just coming at me, calling me all sorts of names for ideas that they didn't agree with. And the thing is, like, there's so many different ways you can beat Baldur's Gate 3. And this isn't a game that has online. Like, it's a single player game that's story driven. The fact that people get their panties in a knot over Baldur's Gate is ridiculous. And I think, again, it comes back to, like, with Elden Ring, similar story. Like, Souls games have been around for a while and has a very dedicated fan base. With Baldur's Gate 3, I think it comes from all the people that have been playing D&D for so long. Because D&D's been around for longer than most of these games. So there's some people that, like, I've spoke to people that said they played D&D 30 years ago, and here's their ideas. I always like when people share their thoughts. Like, if I'm wrong about something, call me out on it, but don't call me redacted information that I can't say on here because you don't agree with it. yeah, this is another game where people have gotten extremely rude over it. But I think, again, it's because there's people that have played Dungeons and Dragons for a very long time. Now, one big thing that I find hilarious is that Dungeons and Dragons isn't perfectly adapted into Baldur's Gate 3. Yes, it's 5e rule set, but there are some huge changes that Larian made. And I actually got a lot of comments from people that are like not aware that Larian changed things in Baldur's Gate 3. So they give me their experience with playing tabletop Dungeons and Dragons and said, "Oh no, this won't work," blah blah blah. Like, they don't consider that there's actually a lot of changes in the game from tabletop. So I feel like it does have some people that don't know what the heck they're talking about and just come at you and get all sorts of angry language at you. I would say it is a little bit better in probably the Souls community. If I had to delete a bunch of comments this morning because people were just being very hateful because they thought that they could do something a little bit better, which fair. Like some ideas are that you don't have to have a perfectly meta build for everything. Like there's 5 builds in Baldur's Gate 3 that are extremely powerful, and I've done build guides on those. I do build guides for fun thematic builds for people that don't need to play like honor mode and just want to have fun with it. So I make some builds for like just for fun. And then those are the videos that typically get people coming at me and freaking out over. So yeah, there are some very toxic fans, but again, I think it's not so much directly related to Baldur's Gate 3 and more so just diehard fans of D&D in general that just don't maybe know the differences in the games. But I'm going to put it in the B tier. I don't think it's as toxic as like Fortnite and Elden Ring can be, but yeah, I want to put it in the B tier. Next, we got League of Legends, and this is probably the king of toxic games. What goes without saying, easy S tier. League of Legends is not something that I've played, but anytime that I've seen people talk about toxic fan bases, League of Legends is always number one. And I've seen it too on YouTube. There's tons of videos of people being toxic on this game. It's just a game style that has turned me off because of everything I've heard about how the fan base acts and treats each other. There's people that'll play League of Legends for like 14 hours a day and just be complete neckbeard living in their fucking basement and just hating on other people because they don't do things XYZ. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to probably play League of Legends because I've just heard nothing but bad about the community. So yeah. Next we have Pokemon. Now, this is a funny one because Pokemon is the biggest media franchise in the world. It has the most fans. A lot of the fans are children. Now, with Pokemon, I feel like a lot of the hate that is in the community should be directed towards Game Freak, towards making a better game. I played Scarlet and Violet. Big fan, by the way. I love Pokemon. But Scarlet and Violet literally runs like 10 frames per second at times. And people in the community are kind of strange. Like, I don't think they're very toxic, but I feel like anytime that people are mad, they should just be mad at Game Freak for not making a better game. It's the biggest franchise in the world, and it has a game that can run at like literally slideshow. Like some of the moments in the game are like a windmill. This like if you played it, there's like a windmill that looks like this. It is like 3 frames per second. I'm gonna probably put it in the C tier. I don't think Pokemon's that toxic. I'll be honest. Like a lot of the fans are children. I've played Pokemon Go for a while, and everyone in that community is really awesome. Like everyone seems very supportive of each other. Even competitive Pokemon I played for a while. I think due to the nature of it being more of a child's game and focus on cute little animals and things like that people are less angry over it. So that's its saving grace, C tier. Next we have Mario, and I think Mario is actually probably the least toxic. I'm going to put that in the F tier. Not toxic at all. That's a good thing. Congrats, Pokemon. Nintendo actually does a really good job. Like they make awesome games, but it seems like their fan bases are pretty respectable to others. Usually conversations that I have with people about Mario are how much they like the games and how much fun they have. And that's how a lot of discussion should go on video games, is to talk about the fun points. At the end of the day, it's a video game. If you get upset over it, turn the fucking thing off. Don't play it if it's bothering you that much that you got to get angry over it. That's just plain and simple how it should be. Mario and Pokemon, I think, do that very well. So I want to put that in the F tier. Not toxic at all. World of Warcraft could probably be like maybe C tier, I guess, looking back on certain things that I'm thinking about. But yeah, I'll put it there. Next, we have Rocket League. Now, this used to be a pretty toxic fan base from what I've done my research on. And I've heard it a lot of the times over the years. It's pretty toxic. But I think they've barely come around. I'm going to put it in the B tier. I've heard it's been much less toxic now. And a lot of people are actually enjoying the game because of it being less toxic. So if I've heard that it's less toxic multiple times, I would say that it probably has toned it down a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to put that in the B tier. Next we got 2K. I'm just counting this as all sports games. Sports games have a weird relationship. Like some people will dump tons of money into them. Um, for some reason, sports games are up there with being a bit more toxic. So I want to put that probably in the A tier. From what I've seen online, like I used to play 2K NBA and I used to play MLB. And on PlayStation, I've received messages from people I've played against online, literally freaking out just because you beat them. So I don't know what it is. I've also played a lot of online games where people will quit if you're beating them. So I would say it's probably up there for being a bit more toxic. So in general, just sports games I feel like attract the very competitive people, and competitive people don't like losing. So I feel like they take that out and don't have an outlet. Next, I put Death Stranding, and this is more so for like the single player narrative driven games, like Death Stranding. Baldur's Gate 3 could fit under that, but again, there's the D&D fans that just come attack me for no reason, so I have to put that one a little bit higher. But single player games typically have really awesome fan bases, I must say, and the communities are always great. They're supportive usually. For the most part, I feel like most single player games that aren't Souls like difficult or aren't focused on like D&D mechanics are usually extremely helpful and friendly. So I'd have to say that's probably F tier, like not toxic at all for single player games. Next we got Call of Duty. This is a fun one. I won't get too involved in that. I loved Call of Duty. I used to play Call of Duty all the time. Probably one of my most played games is Modern Warfare 2. I loved it, but I can't ignore the elephant in the room. Call of Duty has probably one of the most toxic fan bases, and also probably Apex Legends alongside it. I feel like both those games have quite toxic fan bases, but Call of Duty more so than anything. I haven't even played any recent ones. I bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remake last summer. I played it a bit, but it wasn't even that really great of an experience. I feel like Call of Duty needs something new. Maybe Black Ops 6 will correct this, but I know Call of Duty has a very toxic fan base. I see it all the time. The players, the community, it's just, I don't know. I feel like the games really peaked early on, like Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and they just haven't been as good since, and I feel like that made some people upset. So, yeah, S tier probably next to League of Legends, most toxic. Finally, we got Minecraft. This is funny. Minecraft, and I guess I could also throw in like Stardew Valley, similar concepts. It's more of a creative sandbox game, and with those style of games, it doesn't seem to have a lot of toxicity to them. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier because it's just not as bad as some of the other games, because most people are there to do things together. With Minecraft, it's about like most people play Minecraft like with other players, and they do like little events together and throw a 500 mods into their game and play with the mods and do all sorts of wild stuff. I think that Minecraft as a whole has one of the less toxic fan bases, so I want to put it down there. But there it is. There's my thoughts on the most toxic fan bases. I'm sure I've missed a few different games that I could put on here. Some of them can probably move around, but yeah, in my experience, Call of Duty and League of Legends got some really mean fans. Souls games, I think due to it being a more popular genre of game lately, and the people that have been playing them for years, seeing all these people having fun, and they're like, I ain't letting this happen. We're not letting fun happen. These games are meant to be hard. You're supposed to fight this boss for 18 hours. Like, there's just a lot of elitist, I don't know what to call it, type of mentality with this game. I love Souls games. Nothing against the Souls games at all. The games are amazing, but the fan base seems to be a little bit on the toxic side. This is similar to Baldur's Gate. I had to delete a few comments today on my Elden Ring videos calling me some slurs also. It seems that it's very common, these two games, and the people are kind of crafty because they'll type it in a weird way, or they'll like put spaces in the words so that the comments get through like moderation, because there is moderation on YouTube. But the people that use these, they kind of put spaces in the words, or it's crazy. Like, I've seen so many comments, so I'm just like, wow, this person probably needs to go to therapy. It's just a video game. Chill out. So that's my closing thoughts. If you get upset over a video game and you want to go comment at someone and freak out at them, take a deep breath, put the phone down, turn your game off if you're playing it, take a deep breath, go outside, touch grass, relax. It's a video game. Life isn't that serious that a video game should make you feel that way. It's meant to be fun. So if you're not having fun, turn it off, take a deep breath. So there's my thoughts on the most toxic video game franchises. If you found this video fun or useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see y'all in the next one.